The story of the Lindley Street Haunting begins not with a scream, but with an unease, an invisible heaviness that settled inside the small white house at 966 Lindley Street in Bridgeport, Connecticut. By Bridgeport, the Gooden family had lived there quietly for years. Gerard, a humble factory worker, Laura, a soft-spoken woman with tired, gentle eyes, and their adopted daughter, 10-year-old Marcia, a shy child who rarely spoke above a whisper. Then, one crisp November morning, the silence shattered. Furniture trembled without reason. A lamp slid across the living room table. The family cat hissed at something no one else could see. What began as subtle disturbances soon grew into an unstoppable storm, one that would transform the quiet house into the epicenter of one of the most infamous poltergeist cases in American history. At first, the Goodens tried to rationalize what was happening. Perhaps it was the old foundation settling, or vibrations from the city buses that rumbled down the street. But when the refrigerator lurched forward on its own, grinding across the linoleum floor, any logical excuse fell apart. Electrical appliances flickered and buzzed even when unplugged. Crucifixes tilted on the wall as if touched by an unseen hand. Within hours, Laura Gooden, trembling, called the police, not for a person, but for a presence. Officers arrived expecting domestic trouble, only to witness chairs sliding across the room, a small table flipping over, and a portrait swaying wildly on a perfectly still day. One officer later wrote, "There is no logical explanation for what I saw," and that sentence would become the haunting's most enduring truth. News of the disturbances spread quickly, drawing neighbors, journalists, and curious passersby to the little house. Those who managed to peer inside swore they saw objects soaring across the living room as if thrown by an invisible force. A bookshelf toppled with a deafening crash. The air vibrated with strange knocks, scratchings, and a low growl that seemed to move from wall to wall. Through all of this, young Marcia sat quietly, clutching her worn doll, watching with an expression impossible to read. When asked if she was frightened, she simply murmured, "It doesn't want us here." No one knew what it meant. No one asked her to explain. The Bridgeport Police Department soon called in additional units, unsure whether they were dealing with a hoax, a hazard, or something entirely new. Crowds lined the street, pushing against barricades for a chance to witness the supernatural. Overwhelmed and exhausted, the Goodens found no refuge in their own home. Then, two familiar figures stepped onto the property. Ed and Lorraine Warren, renowned paranormal investigators whose future cases would inspire movies and books. Lorraine later claimed that she felt a choking, oppressive darkness the moment she walked through the door. When Ed attempted a blessing, the house reacted violently, lights bursting, walls shuddering, and objects launching with startling force. "This is no trick," Ed warned. "Something hostile is here." As the phenomena escalated, more than 100 witnesses reported seeing a sofa lift off the ground. Others insisted the family cat spoke in a deep, unnatural voice, muttering phrases like, "Leave now, or I'll hurt you." Many dismissed these claims as hysteria, but those present defended their testimony until the end of their lives. The Warrens believed it to be a classic poltergeist manifestation centered on emotional energy. They sat with Marcia, gently asking her what she had seen. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "It follows me. It's angry." Her words deepened the mystery. Was the entity tied to the house or to the girl? When reporters forced their way indoors, pushing cameras inches from the family's faces, the activity erupted into chaos. A heavy dresser crashed backward against the wall. The television twisted violently on its stand. People screamed, ducking as household objects flew past their heads. Officers shouted orders, though none of them knew what they were fighting. Neighbors ran from the property in fear. Amid this turmoil, Marcia remained strangely calm. Observers noticed a disturbing pattern. The disturbances grew stronger when she entered a room, and weakened when she stepped away. Whether coincidence or something far more complex, the connection could no longer be ignored. On the third day, detectives pulled Marcia aside for questioning. Under pressure, exhausted and overwhelmed, the child admitted she had helped some things happen. She demonstrated how she could nudge a table or tilt a chair. The detectives seized on her confession, declaring the haunting a hoax. Reporters printed headlines calling the case child's trickery. Crowds dispersed. police withdrew, investigators stepped back. The Gooden family, once terrified, now found themselves humiliated, left alone in the aftermath of a storm they never asked for. Yet many, skeptics and believers alike, found the explanation insufficient. Yes, Marcia could tip over a small chair, but could she make a refrigerator slide across the floor in front of trained officers? Could she cause crucifixes to spin on the wall from feet away? Could she shake the house so violently that windows rattled? Even detectives later admitted that many events did not fit the confession. Ed and Lorraine Warren outright rejected the hoax theory, claiming the entity withdrew once the emotional energy collapsed under public scrutiny. Several witnesses, including police officers, maintained for decades that what they saw was real. As the house fell quiet again, the Gooden family tried desperately to return to normal life. But the psychological scars remained. Laura suffered recurring nightmares. Gerard avoided the subject entirely. Marcia, burdened by public ridicule and whispers at school, grew even more withdrawn. Eventually, the family moved away, hoping distance might free them from the haunting shadow. The little white house on Lindley Street returned to its quiet exterior, but locals insisted the silence felt unnatural, like a breath held too long. Some neighbors swore they still heard faint knocking coming from the basement late at night. Today, the Lindley Street case remains one of the most hotly debated paranormal events in American history. Was it a misunderstood expression of a child's emotional turmoil? A cascade of mass hysteria triggered by fear and expectation? Or, as the Warrens believed, a genuine encounter with something malevolent, an entity that used a young girl as its conduit? With documents missing, testimonies conflicting, and the principals long gone, the truth remains shrouded in mystery. But one thing is certain. In November 1974, something happened on Lindley Street. Something powerful enough to shake a neighborhood, confound professionals, and leave behind a chilling question that still lingers in the minds of those who dare to whisper about it. What truly lived inside 566 Lindley Street?